All right, here with more, former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and the chairman of the all-important House Judiciary Committee. The dynamic duo is back. Jim Jordan is with us. All right, Mark, I know you've been working the phones all day on behalf of the president. By the way, thank you. Jim, I know you've been doing the same thing. And these are good guys. And by the way, the Senate, I'm kind of pissed off at a couple of things they put in there, but my understanding is there are fixes in the works. But overall, this is a good story that I laid out to bring for every Republican that is in the House and Senate. That is a great message. I will print out my monologue, bring it to your constituents, and compare and contrast what you voted for and what the Democrats refused to vote for.
Yeah, Sean, you're exactly right. I think probably the biggest thing is you've laid out all of those pluses and all of those great things that are there. I think the interesting thing that we see is that Jamie Raskins is all of a sudden he's having amnesia, you know, saying, well, he hadn't looked at no tax on tips. Well, he voted for it already. He voted against it. And yet there are a number of things that my colleagues, former colleagues in the House have been working on. And yeah, I would just a big shout out to all the men and women that are working around the clock in Washington, D.C., trying to make this bill better. Honestly, the Senate fumbled a little bit, but I can tell you President Trump has been working around the clock, he and his entire team. From the moment it passed yesterday until literally a few minutes ago, they've been on the phones trying to make it work. I'm optimistic they get it done. Hopefully a few tweaks here, a few more conservative wins, and we'll send it to the president for his signature before July 4th.
By the way, I just sources of mine are telling me that the likelihood is very high that it is now about to go forward. Jim Jordan, what are you hearing? You're in the House.
No, I think you're right, Sean. And I would just say this. You know this is a good bill because Democrats hate it. And they hate it because it does what you just described, Sean. It empowers individuals. It empowers families. It doesn't empower government. That's why it's good, and that's why I think it's going to pass. I think it could be later this evening, tomorrow morning, but I think it's going to happen before July 4th because it does everything we've talked about doing that are important Republican principles and common sense. Cut taxes, lets families keep more of their money. Says if you're an able-bodied adult getting in our social welfare system, guess what? You're going to have to work now. It makes sure we have resources to keep the border secure. And then finally, it says to moms and dads, we now have in our tax system a school choice component, so you get to pick where your son or daughter is going to get the best education. That's why the left doesn't like this, because it empowers families and it empowers Americans, not big government.
You know, I know that, and the beautiful part of this, Mark, is that this is just a first step. And it's a massive first step. What's critical, Newt Gingrich had pointed this out from the beginning, and he supported the idea, rather than a number of reconciliation bills, he supported the one big, beautiful bill, and he was warning people, pass it now. Get these economic measures in place. Couple that with the $10 trillion in committed monies from manufacturing that the president has gotten with his trade policies and his tariff policies. You couple that with energy dominance, and the odds of a great economy going into a midterm election are that much higher the faster you pass it.
Listen, if you're talking about chess, the best chess player is a grandmaster. If you're talking about legislative wins, you don't go any further than President Donald Trump. He's not only has us on the precipice of actually passing this along with a lot of my former colleagues, but he's done unbelievable things in foreign policy and at the border. You hit it in your monologue. But here's the interesting thing is, you hit the nail on the head. It is the first step, a big step, and a big, beautiful step. But it's also the negotiations right now that are happening really as we're on the air live with your audience that are happening right now is what is the second step? What is the third step? How do we get there? How do we deliver on not only the promises, but continue to win for the president and the American people. And I'm confident, like Jim said, that we'll get there either later tonight or tomorrow. And I just applaud everybody for working so hard to try to get there.
No, and I applaud them as well. I think this is great. Jim, tell me about the process. One thing Lindsey Graham was pretty adamant about is, oh, we're coming back for more. And he's the budget chair in the Senate. He said, we'll do another reconciliation in the fall. How doable is that? And what does that mean in terms of taking it to the next level and even including more savings and fixes if needed?
Yeah, I would answer it in this context. Momentum is important. It's important in sports. It's important in politics. And we need to keep the momentum going. I mean, President Trump has secured the border. We had the Iran successful mission there. We had what he got at NATO, all these countries anteing up their 5% to help out with NATO, and on it goes. And so now we need to pass this, make sure we get the growth started that we need to get started, give people the tax cuts that they deserve, families what they deserve, and then you move on to the next step. But don't stop the momentum that is so strong. There's a reason why President Trump's polling numbers are off the charts. They're the highest of any Republican president in modern times because he's doing what he said he would do, and the people of this great country see the results. So let's keep that going by passing this bill, and then we can do exactly what Senator Graham said. We can come back for another bite at the apple with the second reconciliation package.
Yeah. All right. So optimism from both of you tonight. I appreciate both of you, Mark Meadows and also Chairman Jim Jordan. Thank you both. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.